Hey, it's Nate, Hollywood DM. Update on the Kickstarter, which is turtling along. It's, in my opinion, behind where it's definitely supposed to be. But maybe it's because you don't know what the hell it is. I wanted to talk a couple of things today. One of which will be I'm gonna get over one of my new Barbarian subclass called the Bog Reaver, which I absolutely adore. It's awesome. And the Bog Reaver is basically what happens if you uh, combine a barbarian with a diviner. Is the best possible solution for it, and it's amazing. I love it. Anyways, that being said, my glasses are reflecting. I can't really. I don't know how I get around this. I can't see now. Apart from the fact that you may not know what it is, Noctis is basically the system I'm writing right now. It's written for 5e in 2024 as far as compatibility goes. Although I did just get word back from DC20, and they have allowed and really want to foster other homebrewers to basically write in their system. If you are following the evolution of DC20, which is one of the new three systems that's kind of like hot off the presses right now, allow people to kind of riff on the stuff that's come out, the free things that have come out that they've kind of put out for up to like, I think 9.5 is the release they just did, which you can see some of that on YouTube, and I highly recommend watching their videos on. I'm checking the vid. On the evolution of how things are going. They just refinalized and polished their initiative system, which is it's pretty cool. But I want at least the adventure that's in the back. I want to give statistics that can fit in, plug in your play for DC20 or one of the other systems in case you have a favorite that you like to run. But it will obviously also it'll be done in its core values of the 2024 and 5e systems, which there's some differences between those two. Anyways, that was a long-winded thing to state that I'm going to try and make this adaptable. The important part is that I like the world setting, the horror steampunk world setting. Made it that way. I was drawn to make it that way because of the I'm not supposed to say. I guess I can't say. I don't know. With the Ravenloft setting, fuck it. I don't care. I find that when I first ran the first module that came out long ago, back in first edition Dungeons and Dragons, it was the first module in where the villain was thought of as like a real legit player. It actually moved around Vlad, or Dracula. It moved around in the adventure depending on where the PCs were and what had happened prior to what they've done and what they had done in the adventure. It adapted to your gameplay, and I thought that was so cool. But the idea too that villains have their evil machinations or things that they do, their norms, and it made them more 3D, more realistic. Over time, I think that Ravenloft evolved, and instead of it does have those elements, this awesome like fleshed out villains a little bit. And I know they need to make things generic so that other people can kind of take a realm and make it theirs. But there are certain like plot holes to that they've written into the system. So the pillars of that world are faulty, in my opinion, and it needs some support. It needs some polish. Conversely to that, let's take Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu is amazing. As far as a cosmic horror, you were supposed to feel like out of place. Or intrinsic chaotic beings are so overpowering, you have no chance to defeat them. But that in and of itself is the downside too. You go into the game with the foregone conclusion that it's just a matter of time. I'm gonna die or go insane or whatever. So I better think about my next character. I mean, the upside to that is you have a rich, deep world of this like history of these different characters that you can build upon. But every story is so horribly tragic, right? That in my opinion, there's people that do play Call of Cthulhu a lot and they really like get into that. I find that at some point you will it'll become bland. You're like, I get it. I know where this is going to go. And so in that regards, once again, it writes its own demise because of the limitations of you can't win. And furthermore, you can't be evil. You are just a little pawn in a bigger world, and eventually you're going to, reveal the curtain of this insanity. And then you will A, go insane, or B, I'm now motivated to stop this thing. You won't be able to stop it. You're never going to be able to stop it. That's what Noctis is supposed to be. It has more lore that's supported actually by story, so it's not just like Diet Coke evil of Ravenloft, but unlike Call of Cthulhu, you could win, right? I mean, if you play your cards right and you start to use the tools and information that are given to you, you can stave things off. You can make a difference. That's the one thing that you can't do in Call of Cthulhu. You can never make a difference, right? So in the midst of that narrow corridor is where Noctis lives. The other thing that I wanted people to do is to be able to play evil creatures. A lot of the heavy drama, especially in series that you might watch on TV now, the flawed hero, or the hero that is at odds with themselves. We were talking about this in chat just this morning, actually, me and my friends. So like the first one was probably like, Tony Soprano from The Sopranos. If you've watched any, Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, these are people that intrinsically probably are villains, right? They start off as villains. They have good aspects to them, but they are not good people. Later on, there's a little more nuance to that. I think we wanted a little bit more lofty folks than to just be completely evil. So Ozark, Jason Bateman's character, very questionable morals, but for doing it the right reasons, trying to protect his family. At some point, they lose sight of that, carved out for themselves, and they kind of fall into that being evil. But what makes the drama great for that series is watching them tiptoe on this line. Do they slide into the precipice of evil, or do they maintain their love of family and their humanity, really, if you think about it? And I think that's really, really high drama stakes. And you didn't have to do anything other than just create an intrinsic character that has that negotiation, that argument with themselves. I think that's a great way to go about it. Make people be able to play these things that go bump in the night. So someone gets infected with lycanthropy, and now they have to worry about it. Every day they make a saving throw. You can do either Constitution or Wisdom, depends on how you go about it. If you just will yourself through meditation, or, I'm thinking good thoughts. I don't know. I don't want to get dark, but like you're a cutter, or, so you take drugs or something to like, you're purposefully trying to keep yourself from turning into the monster. So think like Jekyll and Hyde, right? He technically he would take medicines to keep himself sane. And if he forgets, then the monster is unleashed. And then what that does, the horror that he can wreak upon innocent beings that are nearby, or NPCs, other PCs, they could cause a little bit of drama, I think, within a party. So if you do want to play or have access to some of these darker things, I'm not saying everyone has to. I recommend it. Things you want to do it, it could put you in opposition, and you may have high drama moments. Remember, we're all friends at this table, and we're uncovering the story. You may get really attached to your character. When I was younger, I had a flush of emotion when my character died. It was really tough for me at some points. That was what was so addictive about role-playing games, was like, I really got invested. I think I remember, like, in a good story that'll happen. I think I've read so many times of reading Game of Thrones, and like someone that I loved got horked, and I'm like, oh, fuck this book, huh? And I got across the room because I invested some of myself into the moment, and then have that stripped away from me was tough. I kind of wanted to replicate that. Oh, my dog is trying to dig through the couch. Hey, could you not destroy the couch? So that's what Noctis is about. I've already written it. I may do some little polishing because it's 200 plus pages, and with some additions of artwork, which is the big thing. The artwork is the big problem. Some of the art is AI started, or complete AI. I wanted to get it done quicker so I could focus on writing. But I really wanted to be able to hire other artists that are better than myself, way better, and really want to make this like beautifully horrific. Get some great, Frazetta or Gerald Brom or other, easily some of these great artists that for a long time, whenever I opened up a Dungeons and Dragons book, one of the great things was looking at the art and getting lost in those pages. Even D, back in the artist known as D, in those first drawings, really captivated your imagination. And I really wanted this book to be beautiful, as well as just fun to utilize in your own campaigns. So that's kind of the idea, is just to fix the art. If you come into this Kickstarter, $10 gets you the whole of the book. I'll give you concept art as well. But there's some add-ons. We're going to design our own limited edition dice. I'm going to go through only crits. I have a friend that is she is an orchestrator. She composer. She orchestrates stuff for Disney and Apple TV and every stuff. And she's not cheap, unfortunately. But it would be amazing to get her to do like a mini album, 4 or 5 songs, and tie those to different parts of the book, where it's like you could take your phone and like scan a page, right? And then it starts to play the music at your tables, So, you go into this, this creepy cellar or whatever, and you play it and it starts to play, and getting stuff like that to set up would be great. This is a whole living world, and you can kind of see it and get into it and really role play in it. I love what I wrote. I think you will too. I've run people through the module at the back, and I've had some tables not even make it to the end. It's pretty tough. It's gritty, but it will take characters from first level through 10th level. I have future ideas for writings in other sections. So the planet itself, Noctis, is the way that it rotates. It has a dark side to the planet that is completely in night. And there's a prevalent mist, much like we'll say Ravenloft, but there's a reason for my mist to exist. It doesn't just exist because, that's just because it's spooky. Like, it scientifically, there's a reason for it to be there. And that's one of the things that you can uncover as a mystery of the world. Once you get to the equator, the way that the world kind of warbles in its orbit and its rotation around the sun, which is called Sol. They call the sun Solthane. You actually get to the equator. There's these beaches, and you can see like a sunrise. The sun actually rises and kind of sets, but it stays low to the horizon. It's almost like being up like in Alaska, right, where certain parts of the year, right, the sun almost never sets. It never gets totally dark, right, for months at a time. The far end of the southern pole is basically the section that's completely facing Solthane, the sun, and it's just blasted with this like radiant energy. So much of these solar flares kind of ripple off the planet, and this high coursing of energy, plus some kind of secrets that are in the core of Noctis, of the planet itself, they don't go together well, and the warping around these conflicting energies cause rips and tears in the prime material plane. A tear into hell, there's a tear into kind of limbo and the elemental plane of fire, and that has seeped through some of these other powerful entities into this world, and now they've got this kind of virgin place that they can set up roots. I'll do some high level play, probably up to level 20 or beyond, and I want to invent a new archdevil, of which I believe WotC's kind of, they have not put one out in a while. Like, it's, in fact, I don't know when the last time they've done it, really. It's, you've set up the original group, and that's it. And you kind of expound upon that, in City of Brass stuff. But, like, it's not, or Avernus. But really, you haven't, like, set up a real good archdevil and a domain. And I want to go against. Anyways, but this is all in the future. Hey, okay, so the Bog Reaver. I'll try and make this quick. I had to put my glasses on. Apologize. So in the near the equator of the planet of Noctis is where these orc tribes exist, and this is where kind of the Bog Reaver started. It's basically a barbarian and a diviner kind of sandwiched together. There's 3 different tribes of the Runazkala, which are the orcs of the southern shores, the Dawn Shore. The main one that kind of deals a lot with death is called the Norimush, which means death looters is the direct translation. Feel themselves as the shepherds of the living into the halls of the dead, and they worship the dark god, as they call it. They don't know the name other than the dark god. They think of death as just another process in your evolution, and so as a result, they don't really fear it so much.
Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun.
And in fact, they kind of wait for their time to take their step into the netherworld. Once you hit the 3rd level, you get what's called your Reaver's Blade. And a Reaver's Blade is like, it's like your favorite weapon. It's bent and wrought after years of killing. It's pitted. This toxic kind of patina starts to form along the blade. Energy's encircling it from the Dark God, and it is unbreakable. In fact, beyond that, it becomes vicious. So if you do crit with it, you'll do an extra 7 points of damage. 2024 versus 5e, it doesn't just do an extra 7 points. It does like 2d6. Is their version of vicious. They changed it. You choose a heavy weapon of your choice. What's in your character? It becomes a vicious weapon. It gains this patina. So whenever you hit something, it needs to make a saving throw versus 8, a DC 8 plus your proficiency modifier and your con modifier. If they fail, they become poisoned. They can make saves at the end of their round. Downside is you're hitting them a lot, and they got to keep making saves. The net result, obviously, is all things being equal, causing them to get disadvantage on their attacks, and you don't have disadvantage. So you're just winning this battle of attrition in a fight against one-on-one. Your disregard for your own life in combat causes you to take advantage, and the weapon itself, despite its awkwardness, is balanced for you, and you know it intimately well. You crit on a 19 or 20 instead of a 20, much like a champion would. So at the very, very start, a Bog Reaver becomes fairly deadly. They also get what's called Death's Call. So Death's Call is basically every morning as you wake up, you let your own blood and throw the bones as you pray to the Dark God. And in doing so, you sacrifice your hit dice. Every morning, I think a diviner can do this 2 times until they get to about 14th level. They just get that. For a Bog Reaver, you have to sacrifice blood from yourself. Short rest, you cut yourself, sacrifice a hit die, and then you may roll a d20 at the beginning of the day and then save that result to utilize at a different point of the day. The difference between a diviner and a Bog Reaver is you have to use your Death's Call, your insight into the future. It has to be within the confines of a combat. It can't just be at any time. Change a number for your opponent or yourself or someone around you, really, as long as it's within the field of battle, to hit roll, a skill check, or a saving throw. Only do a maximum of 2 hit die as you make your portents for that morning. Once you get to 14th level, you may use the 3 times. You can sacrifice up to 3 hit die. I hate you so much. The other thing they get, that's at 3rd level. Once you get to 6th level, you get what's called Grave Sense. So at 6th level, you gain the ability to see as spirits do. So when you rage, it allows you to sense the living. You basically get a kind of a blind sight ability. So you can see in magical darkness as well with this. You're unhampered by the loss of sight, even during moments of concealment. So even if someone does fog cloud or something like that, you still have blind sight around that. You can sense others around you as you kind of dip into the shadow realm. The downside is when you go into this state, you become vulnerable to radiant, but conversely to that, you are resistant to necrotic damage during your rage. At 10th level, you get what's called a Reaver's Seal. And this would be good for an NPC. Like if you made a good villain, this would be an interesting aspect to put for a villain. But for a player, it's not bad either. At 10th level, the Reaver's Blade is so deadly. Upon striking each individual, you leave a gushing wound. Every successful strike causes bleed equal to your Constitution modifier, like in every round, until they receive magical healing or their wounds are bound by a medicine check, DC 8 plus proficiency mod plus con mod. You have such a connection to the Dark God when you knock a foe down. Let's say you knock someone out or you drop them. You take some of the blood off of your blade, some of their blood, wipe it upon your forehead or, whatever you do, some region like across your face or whatever in a show of, Urukai or whatever, can no longer be healed. They can't, like, much in 5e, it's like if you were doing this for a villain, someone's like, oh, I just hit him with this heal spell for 1 point of damage, they get back up in the fight. No, that doesn't work. You are basically sealed them with your Reaver's Blade. You have 1 hour to kill the Bog Reaver. Otherwise, they cannot be resurrected. They can't be revivified. They can't be healed. Their spirit is being pushed to the halls of the dead. you have done this. And so that makes it very deadly as far as when you're fighting someone and you drop them in combat, they're down. They're not coming back until you kill the Bog Reaver. But this goes along with the ideas of them being so in touch with the Dark God and just pushing souls ever forward to the afterlife. Once you get to 14th level, they are so uncaring about their own mortality that they can capitalize on moments of bravado from an opponent. So an eye for an eye is your power at 14th level. If someone hits you with a critical hit, their overconfidence in that moment, like, they turn the tide, they crit hit you. You can expend one of your uses of rage and your reaction to basically turn around and hit them right back. You use your reaction to hit them as well. You're like, and you strike back. If you hit, that hit is a crit. If you manage to kill them with this strike, any excess damage you do over dropping them to 0 hit points, you heal that amount. Any excess energy, you just kind of you breathe in this like blood mist that just kind of reforms your, and heals your body. And that is eye for an eye. You're also so feared, you exude a fear aura around your body. So within 15 feet of you, people have to make a wisdom saving throw, DC 8 plus proficiency mod plus your con mod, or become frightened just being near you. Basically, they get the saves at the end of every other turn. If they leave the Bog Reaver's death aura and enter it again, they must make new saving throws. So it's not like, oh, I'm over your fear now, I can come back and do whatever. Like every time you step back in this radius, it's like you're facing off against an avatar of death. And that should have consequences. You should feel like, Jesus Christ, I just want to get away from this thing. Unlike, I think, Dragon Fear, I would really like to see Dragon Fear kind of emulate a similar kind of thing. And unfortunately, it's like, you save against Dragon Fear, now you're fine. I'm like, okay, sure. It's just a force of nature. Let's assume you just get over it. I shit my pants and now I'm fine. I'm just walking around with a little load in my, loaf in my shorts. No biggie. I feel like fear is one of those palpable things that you can deal with it, but not easily. I'm going to give you a Prot Evil or Lesser Restoration or something. Yeah, let's do, no one really cares. Like Lesser Restoration's like, we'll do that after the fact. Like, it would be a good reason to kind of like have those in your repertoire of your spells, because at a time when you get just screwed with fear, you're like, you're fine. You can get through this, and you basically kind of heal your fighter, like, get in there. I don't want to face him. Anyways, and that's the Bog Reaver. Really love it. And to give you an idea about the art too, I've been hampering on it. This is AI art. So right there. Now I did that off of this. That's my art. I drew that. So I took that and put it in Night Cafe and said, like, give me another orc. I want him to have light skin. And they'd shit out that. So I want to change that to more of this. But as you can see, like, this is okay. I mean, it's nice. It's got a Hyperborea feel, right? But there are so many much better artists than me out there that just rock the Casbah. And I'd love to get them involved. And I want this book to look beautiful and horrific and haunting and just kind of spark imaginations. I would love people to they just go back and pick up the book. Sometimes not even just to read, just to flip through the pages and look at the artwork. And that would be great. I would really love that. Anyway, that's the goal of the Kickstarter. Like I said before, $10 will get you the book. Obviously, there's other perks you can add on. And as long as I get to 18.2, I know it's a little high. Some people are like, you don't need to pay that much for artists. And I'm like, yeah, you really do. You really do. People undervalue art. And if you want to get someone that's put a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears in evolving their skill set. I mean, I've spent years trying to learn to draw and paint. And I'm a second-class citizen. Some of these people are just like, I'm amazed at what they do. It just makes me almost want to cry. It's so good. And it can really take you places. Art, that's what's important about art. It lets us leap from this mortal coil and see something, either better or more horrific, or laugh or cry, to feel these things and really feel human, and then, you know, feel something. Anyway, thanks for watching, and yeah, keep on gaming. Or come by and find me on Facebook. I like to discuss crap on Facebook. You can listen to old guys talk about crap. Yeah. Anyway, later. Keep on gaming.